Welcome back to season 2 of the Katie Wellness Show. I am back with more amazing tools, awesome interviews, and some great discussions to help you optimize your health, body, mind, and spirit. Not only can you use these tools every day, you can also teach them to your children and to your family members so that you can raise emotionally and physically resilient children, so that you can show up more in your life, that you can take back your personal power. Get ready to tap into your intuition. I'm so excited that you're here. You are worthy of health and of joy and of thriving in your motherhood, thriving in your life. Thank you for being here today. Hey, welcome back. This week's conversation is with a woman I met as part of a Cache Valley Women in Business group. So I met Shelly probably 3 or 4 years ago, and she recently reached out to me wanting to know how she could help me and my listeners, you guys, be in a better place financially. I feel like financial health is also a really important piece of being healthy, being whole, and being well. And I had some really great takeaways from this conversation with Shelly. First off, moms, your contribution matters. You may not be able to put a dollar amount to all that you do, but without you there doing all the things that you're doing, there would be a huge hole to fill. So don't discount your efforts just because you can't put a dollar amount to it. Second thing, life insurance creates freedom, not leaving behind a burden. Having life insurance alleviates the what if stress. What if something happened to me? Who would take care of my children? How would they take care of them? Having life insurance is a sigh of relief and just peace, knowing that if something did happen to me, that we would be okay, that it wouldn't be catastrophic financially. Third thing, all wellness is individual, and this includes financial wellness. Shelly's approach is very individualized, and she talks about her approach to helping people find the right life insurance for them throughout this episode. And something that I didn't know about before is when you are looking for life insurance, ask about tax-free savings options and ask about living benefits. These were things that I haven't heard before, but Shelly explained them in easy to understand ways. I'm really grateful that she was able to be on the show today, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Of all the things that we have to worry about, me dying doesn't necessarily have to be top priority, right? Like, of course, it would be a devastating situation if I died, but I'm not leaving them with nothing and no one to fill that void. As I was preparing for this conversation, I thought, what are questions that I really should probably know about life insurance? And as a stay-at-home mom, is life insurance something that I even need or could get? Like if I'm not bringing in an income, like those types of things, it just kind of got me thinking
For sure. Yeah.
about a lot
Yeah.
of that. So
Can totally answer those questions for you.
good. Will you start by introducing yourself to my listeners?
Okay. Sure. So my name is Shelly Pearson. I've been working with World Financial Group. So we're not like this small company that just doesn't have the clout to, be able to help people financially. Transamerica is our broker. So they're like they like work with all the different companies like nationwide. We focus on just helping families get financially in better positions. We are just able to focus on getting people, especially like middle America, where people don't make a huge amount of money, but they do have a lot of, bills and stuff like that. And they need to set themselves up financially so that they're not like in a bad position if something happens that they're not ready for. So
Yes. Well, and I feel like that middle class right there, they don't quite have enough resources to, if there was something catastrophic that happened, to be able to just pay for it, but they make too much to get help, right? So
yeah,
we're in this like middle where
it's
we
true.
we do have to start looking at okay, if I got in an accident and needed disability insurance, or if I needed life insurance, like what would that look like? How
Yeah,
would I provide for my family if I wasn't able to care for them?
yeah. So, yeah, and we can help with, we mostly focus on life insurance. We don't do like renters or disability or car insurance. We're more focused on just the financial part. So, disability kind of falls under like medical, but we do have with our insurance, our term and our and indexed universal life insurance. There's two different ones that we use the most. Those are the ones. Um, they have living benefits. So that means if you had something happen, like you got in a place where your medical health, your health was um, like you got cancer and it's stage 4 and you're going to die within 6 months or whatever. Like they're, the doctors say you only have 6 months to live. You can pull that money out and you can access that money to be able to, you know, do something like with your family or just not have to worry about money because
Mm-hmm.
it's financially devastating for a lot of people when they have a sickness come up. So you can access that. Um,
You
and
said that's called living benefits?
yeah, living benefits with your life
Okay.
insurance.
Okay.
So, we have it on the term and on the indexed universal life insurance, and that one is a permanent insurance. You pay for that, and that lasts your whole life. Term insurance is only like 10 to 30 years, depending on which one you buy. So when you're done, when you've, that policy expires in 10 or 20 years, then you have to buy a new one at the age that you're at and at the health you're at. So the permanent is nice because then once you've got it, as long as you're paying that policy, you're going to be able to access that for the rest of your life. So
Do both types, term and indexed universal, do those both have the living benefits option available? Or
yes.
is it okay?
Yeah, we just have to make sure when we're looking at the term that we get the one that has that. Transamerica has a really good one. I'm most familiar with the Transamerica one because it's our favorite. It has a lot of
Yeah.
different. You can also add on riders for your kids. Like if one of your kids dies, you have like 15,000. I think it's 10 to 15. I'm pretty sure it's 15,000 available for burial and everything like that. So I mean that happens to some people. They don't expect it, but it does happen. You can add your children, all of your children on there. You can also get them a life insurance policy with the Index Universal Life Insurance. You can get that for your kids too.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
because it's also an cash building account. So you can get one of those and start building yeah, long-term investment for your kids, like kind of like a 529 or a Roth. Like a lot of people will get Roths and use those to invest for their kids. You can use these to do that. You do not have a rule like with an investment. You don't have as many rules with it. So you're able to access that money if you want to if you start it when they're really young, you're going to have more money available because you do need some time to build up the cash value, but you can access it for that or for a house. You can, there's a lot of different options you can do with that. Um, and
And I
so,
feel like the kids rider insurance is fairly reasonably priced.
yeah, the riders are actually, they don't add much. Like if I did one without a rider and one with it, it's only like, I don't know, even maybe a couple bucks a month. It's not much. The rider is
Yeah.
just like, hey, might as well do it if you've got kids and you don't want to get them, their own policy. But if you're ready to get a policy to help them start investing for later, then you can do that. That's a really nice option for kids to be able to set them up financially for the future because I think it's just going to be harder and harder for people to get financially set if they're not planning ahead when their kids are young. So
Yeah. What did you say that insurance was called for the kids, where it's a little bit more flexible? It doesn't necessarily have to be for like afterlife.
Yeah, it's the Index Universal Life Insurance. You can get
Oh,
that on
okay.
your and adults. It's usually good for people that are, not in retirement age. It's best to get it before you're 65. So you can get it any time that you want. Except for when you're like older, it's usually not going to work because you're not going to build up as much cash reserves in it. So it's better suited for like people under 65.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's a very flexible way to be able to have some money available. A lot of people use it as an addition to their savings for retirement. Like they may have a 401k that they're contributing to and a Roth. But this is just another way you can do it because you're not as limited on how much you can put in a year. Like for a Roth, you can only put in about 7,500 a year. With these, it depends on how much of a policy you get. It has a range between, a couple $100 a month you can put in, or you can put in up to 1,000 or 2,000 a month. So there's more of a range there, and it just depends on how much you're taking out that on your policy that you can do. So it gives you another way to save up. And another really good thing about this is it will grow tax free. And when you pull it out, it's tax free. You never pay money on that because it's attached to a life insurance. And so
Okay.
that's a huge advantage because a 401k, you don't get taxed on it when you put it in, but when you pull it out, you're taxed on it. And a lot of people are paying 30 to 50% on their taxes um, when they're paying their, getting their 401k out. And so it's just a really big advantage to be able to have something that you're not taxed on. That's why a lot of people like Roth is because you're not taxed on it once you pull it out. You pay the taxes before you put it in and then you don't pay again, but they limit how much you can do. So if you want something else that's tax free, the, you know, the life insurance is a really good way to do it because when you get that policy, like if you pull out that money from, if you needed it for, if you're, you know, you need to access your living benefits, that money's not going to be taxed either. So it's just,
Okay.
so I love the life insurance because it gives you a lot of flexibility and you're not paying a lot in taxes. Because when you get any kind of windfall of money, it's usually taxed.
Hmm.
So yeah.
But the difference between term and the universal is you're going to pay more per month for the universal versus
Yeah, a
the
little
term.
bit. Yeah. And the other difference is term is you buy it and you have a contract for 20 years usually. And once that 20 years is up, you don't have protection anymore for you. And it's usually best to use, like if you were going to do the ideal, you would get an IUL that, um, like for me, we have a $250,000 policy on me right now. But I also have a term life insurance that I've had for like 18 years. I think it's only got like a couple years left. But it's nice because, right now I have 550,000 because it's 300,000. So if I died, I had 550,000 available, but I'm not paying the higher amount on all of that protection. But when I'm older, I'm not going to need as much because our debts will be paid down more, things like that. We'll have less kids at home to worry about. So, you know, that's why people do term insurance is just to kind of supplement. And then later, that's what a lot of people with our company do because of that option to have an IUL.
Okay.
So,
That's awesome. So one of the questions that I had while I was preparing for this is I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm the CEO of my home, right? I don't bring in an income. Is life insurance something that I even need?
well, if you're, say your husband, like you died and your husband had to take care of the kids himself, he would need somebody to watch him. So he'd need to have that extra money available to be able to pay for that. So, you know, if you just figure out how much it's going to cost to have somebody, watch your kids while your husband's working, that kind of thing. Plus, he's probably not going to be able to make as many meals or, you know, he wants to also probably be able to have some money available for putting them through college so that, you know, if he's by himself, he's going to have, you know, more worries about that. We also recommend people get enough to cover their mortgage so that they're not going to have to worry about that too. But yeah, you don't have to do that, but you know, just your contribution is quite big. Even though you don't make money, you save money by being there, you know, all the services you provide being a mom. So,
Yeah, I think sometimes as moms we overlook our contributions because a lot of it is invisible or you can't put a dollar amount to it.
mhm, it's true.
Yeah.
But, you know, all the things that you do every day, if you paid somebody, you'd have to pay a lot more than you realize.
Yes. Yeah. I do have a term policy on me, just for that reason, right? If I were not here to prepare meals, to do your laundry, to be the chauffeur for the kids, to like right now I homeschool my kids. If I was not here to do all those things, how much would it cost to replace those so you could continue to still
Hmm.
work? And just even having that in place has helped me to not worry about the what if I died, right? And a lot of what I talk about on my podcast and a lot of what I help many women with is just finding wellness, right? Whether it's emotional wellness. Tell me, in your opinion or your perspective, how does this type of financial preparedness create freedom and encourage better health?
Well, my opinion is that if you know that things, you know, if something happens to you, at least you have money to give somebody to help take care of them. Even if it's you're not leaving a burden to anybody. It's not going to feel as much like a burden, you know? You know, because you are the one that had the family. So if they have nothing, I mean, I'm sure they can get by, but it just would you'd feel better about the fact if something happened to you that you didn't leave people wishing that, you know, it wasn't so much stress on them, you know.
Mhm.
It just alleviates a lot of stress from other people if you have prepared beforehand and they're not feeling as much of a burden. So I think it makes you feel like, you know, being responsible, like you're being responsible. Like there's plenty of people out there that use GoFundMe because like they didn't prepare, they didn't get life insurance, they didn't get anything, and so they're left with nothing. And that stress is huge, you know, like when that happens, like all these, you know, people are willing to help, which is great, you know, and it really, and you know, there's still some things you just can't plan for sometimes, you know, but still, like, it just makes you feel like, okay, I'm being responsible. I'm doing what I need to do as a parent. And it just, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Like you've done it, you know, you've already made the plan. So I think it just helps you to feel a little more peace,
Yeah.
you know.
Of all the things that we have to worry about, me dying doesn't necessarily have to be top priority, right? Like, of course, it would be a devastating situation if I died, but I'm not leaving them with nothing and no one to fill that void anymore. So
Yeah.
I like that. And I'm sure you do see a lot of people who didn't have life insurance and wish they would have,
Hmm.
where you're in this industry.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a couple of questions about shopping for life insurance. So was not if I was in a position where I was looking for insurance, life insurance, what are
Hmm.
some things that I would want to look for? What are things that I would want in an insurance policy? Whether, I mean, we can talk specifically term and then
Hmm.
specifically universal, index universal.
Yeah. So when you're looking, what we usually do with people is we sit down and do a financial needs analysis. We ask them what they want to do with their life and, you know, what they're debts are and everything like that. Just kind of figure out how much money they need to live, so that we can help them figure out how much they actually want to live on when they retire and all that stuff like that. So we kind of make a plan with them, and then we make sure that we uh, are getting them a life insurance policy in place, so they can do that. They can take care of the things they need to. So we just kind of figure out how much you can actually afford, and ask you how much you would feel comfortable with putting away every month for that retirement. So the things you would want to look for in a life insurance policy kind of depends on what your goals are, really. If you're like wanting to put money away for later, in an IUL, then that we help you with that. If you're just looking for some protection for your family and you really aren't in a position to afford much, then you'll want to get probably a term life insurance policy. But if if you want to have, the living benefits, we would make sure we get you the one with the living benefits. It's going to cost a little bit more per month, but if that's something that's important to you, then we'll get you the policy. So it's kind of like, just depends on what your lifestyle is, what you're looking for, and we can help kind of guide you in the right direction. So yeah, just looking, if you're looking to just have coverage for 20 years while your kids are little, then great. If you want something long term, the IUL is good for that. But if you need a blend of both, then we can help you with that. So I don't know, it's hard to say, like, the benefits, like the living benefits, like I mentioned, is a really big one. Not all policies have that. So
Yeah.
probably, just talking to a life insurance agent that kind of knows, can find out your needs. That's really what you need to do, is just find somebody that can help meet the need and help you get what is important to you. So
So it's a very individualized approach,
it is.
which I feel like there's a lot in life that is that way, especially when it comes to wellness, right? Whether it's financial or physical or emotional,
Yeah.
we really have to take stock of, okay, what do I actually need? And I
Mhm.
love that you take an individualized approach, that it's not one size fits all.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
are you licensed to help people in states? You're in Utah, right?
Yes, I'm in Utah, and the way it works with a life insurance agent is you just apply to the state that you, um, if you're talking to somebody in another state, you just apply for that license. Once you've already got your license in place in the state you live in, you just apply for it, you just pay for it, and then you're licensed for 2 years in that state. So if I was talking to somebody in a state where I didn't have it, I would just apply for it. And it just has to be done the day or day before that like that we sign an agreement with a
Okay.
life policy. So I'm available for any 50 states. I can't do out of the country. I don't know about Canada. I know our company is in Canada, but I don't know like what I could do. But it needs to be in the 50 states, and
Okay. Okay.
so
So if I have listeners who are wanting more information, if they are ready to walk down this individualized path and figure out what they need so they can have that peace of mind and that financial preparedness, where can they go to get in touch with you?
I can give you my phone number, or I can give you my email address. I have I use the website for Revolution Financial Management if they just kind of want to poke around on that and see. We have like debt payoffs, kind of calculators and stuff like that that you can access, um, if they're interested in that. But yeah, I'm fine with just giving out my phone number.
Okay.
They want to just text me.
Okay, I will include it in the show notes. So anyone who is wanting to get in touch with you, who needs either term or index, or just someone to say, okay, this is what you would need, this is what you would start looking for. I can
And I'd
get them
like
in
to,
touch with you.
sorry, really quick. Also, if you have an old 401k or Roth, I can also help you with, it's called an index annuity, which means like, and I didn't really explain like more about the index part, which means, so say you have you put your money in a Roth or a 401k. Usually it's in the market and it, has the up and down of the market. Your money could be disappearing or whatever if it drops down in the stock market. Indexed is a little different. It mirrors the stock market growth. Like if it's like 13% in a month, like it grows 13% in a month. The way an index strategy is, it will credit your account that much, but it's not in the stock market. So you're going to get the growth, but if there's a month where it drops and it's only, like it goes negative, your investment will not drop. It will just be 0.75% instead of whatever it has been the months before. So that's the nice thing about index is it's going to have growth or it's going to stay the same basically. You're never going to lose. So that's the nice thing about growing in one of the index accounts. So we can also get you into indexed annuities, which are the same way where it's not going to drop. It's always going to go up, but it's just a more safe way to grow your money. And a lot of people will get higher returns on their investments with that. So if you have a rollover you need to do, like you've been at another company and you left your 401k there and you're still with the company that you worked with, like it's still sitting in that account, you can take that account and have it rolled into a different annuity. It can be rolled into a new account, but it is an annuity, but it's going to grow like a 401k does. So
Okay.
So it's treated tax-wise, it's treated the same as a 401k, but it's an annuity and it's got like usually about 10 years where you need to keep it in there, but you usually do anyway. I mean, you don't have to keep it in there, but you're going to have a fee if you take it out, just like if you take it out a 401k. Anyway, so if people want to also do that, I can help with that. So I just didn't mention that. There is the IUL, which is great, but you can also grow your money in a 401k or a Roth. Sometimes better. Most of the times you can do it better with an indexed annuity. So if anybody needs help with that, also we do that too.
Awesome. I think my husband does have an old 401k or retirement account with a previous employer. So maybe we'll look into getting that rolled into an annuity and get it actually performing well.
Yes. And that's the nice thing is that there's other options than just letting it sit there. So, we can compare it to what he's got now and see if it's going to be an advantage for him. And we can totally help with that because it just makes me like, because usually you just sit there and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. I just know that I need to save it, but like actually something where it's going to, we can't tell you for sure that'll happen, but we're going to say, this is what it's been doing for 10 years. So this is the map of what, if it was like the last 10 years, this is what it's going to do. So yeah, we can do that. And that would be awesome if we could help you with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, yeah.
Okay. So thank you for spending some time talking to us about life insurance and the indexed IUL is that's the short term, right? IUL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good to know that there are options and resources out there for those who are ready to really jump into financial wellness and getting, the pillars of their finance set. So like one less thing to worry about, I feel like.
Sure. I'm so glad you took the time to have me come on because I love telling people about this because it's exciting to me because my mother-in-law, she didn't have, when my father-in-law died, before I met my husband, he died. Anyway, it was before I met my husband, but she had nothing and she had 9 kids and she had nothing. Like, to me, it's just like, it would be so overwhelming to have 9 kids and nothing to rely on like at all. She just had to start working and her girls just, teenage girls had to all, help out with everything. And it's not that it can't happen that way. And it's totally, you can do it, but the stress that it causes, it's just, there's other ways to do it. So anyway, you can do it a different way. You can alleviate some of that stress and worry by preparing. And that's what I love. That's why I'm so excited and passionate about it, to help people. So
yeah, I'm glad someone is, because that is not something that lights me up. So I'm glad you can be excited and I can just come to you and say, Shelly, hook me up. What do I need to do? So I appreciate that.